Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Chris with InsideTheU. Thanks for stopping by. Big news for the Miami Hurricanes as they flip four-star defensive end Collins Acheampong, a guy that's very intriguing, 6'7" guy. In this video, I'll talk about my instant reaction thoughts on him as a player from these clips that I saw him in Bradenton this summer at the UA Next Future 50. Give you guys a glimpse there. Also, I want to go back and go through an interview, show you guys, post that interview from Greg Biggins. He had more insight. He's a national recruiting analyst from 24/7 Sports. He had great insight in an interview I did with him about Collins. So definitely going to post that. And also in this video, I want to take a look at Miami's defensive line moving forward with the future, the 2023 season, as they look to add more pieces from some of the positives that they had on the defensive line this year. So let's get right into it. You know, with Collins, what stands out to me is just his athleticism. As you see, 6'7", over 250 pounds now. You see him taking some good one-on-one reps in this highly competitive, very talented camp. So he stood out. He did well, you know. And at this time, he had already picked Michigan, but I wanted to get some clips because I knew this was a potential guy that they could flip. I knew he's very intriguing. So I wanted to put the video together then, and I had it for now. So as you can see, very intriguing guy, has not played football for very long. Again, Greg will explain more about his background, but just some things that I'm excited about because, again, he's got great athleticism, great length. I love when guys play basketball. I feel like it can translate pretty good in terms of footwork and just some overall ability things there in terms of positioning. So that's good. I think he's got a good base. I think he's got a bright future. I think he's a guy that they can certainly build upon, you know, moving forward. Once again, I'll talk more about some of their future guys to look for. And immediately you're going to think about some other taller defensive ends Miami has had a lot of success with in the past with Greg Rousseau and Calais Campbell. So here's Greg Biggins, national recruiting analyst for 24/7 Sports, speaking about Collins and his background.
It's a radical story. So he's from Ghana, came over to Southern California as a freshman to play basketball. That was his first love. That was his sport. And I was never saw him, but I was told he's actually a legit basketball player, potential top 100 recruit, a really small school out here in Southern California, Fairmont Prep. And it's more of an academy for basketball, but he decided to go out for football. And his freshman tape was really, really good. COVID hit. And so they shut the football program down at that point. So sophomore year, no football, junior year, no football. So I hadn't played football since his freshman year. But UCLA offered him, which is ironic because UCLA is usually the last school to offer players. Just they're a little slower with that, but they love the athleticism. And then pretty soon, man, like everyone offered him. And he went to some camps and people had a chance to go watch him, you know, work out. And now he's a legitimate 40 offer guy from just about every powerhouse school you can think of. And people will say, how do you offer a kid who hasn't played football since his freshman year? Well, again, he's 6'6". He's probably 220. A few months ago, he told me he's now 250 because he's doing some crazy workouts with some NFL caliber strength coaches. And again, football recruiting and like rankings is all about projection and upside. So I think people see this raw kid who, again, was a top 100 basketball recruit, get him on the edge playing as a rusher. I think he could also be an elite level tight end, but upside is just off the charts, man. This guy, you can mold him and do whatever you want with him. You can't find guys with that kind of size, that kind of strength, that kind of natural athleticism.
So what does Miami's defensive line look for in the future? I think it starts with Akeem Mesidor. He's a sophomore, third-year guy that's draft eligible. He led the Hurricanes in sacks this year, his first year at Miami after 2 years at West Virginia. I thought Mesidor was one of the best players on the defense this year, and if he could come back to Miami, that certainly gives the Hurricanes a definite force there up front. And they've got other guys as well. Daryl Jackson and Leonard Taylor were the primary starters at defensive tackle. You put Mesidor there, and then we'll see how everything transpires. But adding Collins to the mix of this young group with Jaden Wayne, as I mentioned, and then Cyrus Moss, another guy, and Nigel Kelly. Those are second-year guys going into 2023, which will be their second season. I thought Nigel showed flashes. He got sacks this year, made plays, and I think he's going to continue to grow as a player. I think, you know, Cyrus Moss didn't play very much this year, not nearly as much as Nigel, but I still think he's got a bright future. They talk about, you know, just adding size. And as you can see here, this was the season finale before the Miami Hurricanes played Pittsburgh. So you're getting a full look at these guys going into the offseason, just taking a glance at them. But again, I think Miami's got a bright future with Collins and some other young guys. The defensive line coaches, as you see here, it's headlined by Jason Taylor with what he does as a staff member, but also, Joe Salavea and Rod Wright. We will see how everything goes with the coaching staff in the offseason, but certainly these guys deserve credit for what they did with this defensive line, which I thought was the strength of the defense. Certainly they can be better. Miami's defense didn't rank among the top in the ACC, so all of the units can be better. But I think with what they have, and if they can continue to grow, and really have that camaraderie, I think that Miami's got a chance to have a really good defensive line next year if all of these guys return and you get guys like Collins in there really understanding the system, and maybe he can fill a role similar to what Nigel Leak did this year. Part-time role, plays a lot, plays every game, but gets sacks and make plays when needed. And as you saw with Nigel Leak, he just continued to make plays as the year went along. I think that was good to see that he continued to progress, which is what you want in a young player. And I think with Miami's defensive line, Coach Cristobal has talked about adding size. They did that last year with Mesidor coming over from West Virginia. Daryl Jackson right here from Maryland. Those are two guys that played a lot. They brought a lot of size. And I think that's what Miami wants to have up front. And that's what stands out to me with Collins at 6'7", over 250. So they've got guys up front that they definitely can work with moving forward. And one of the things that Miami did well this year was they got sacked. So that was good. They were third in the ACC, and they were tied for third in tackles for loss. They didn't have either of those in the final game against Pittsburgh, but those are two things that Miami can certainly build upon. They definitely want to stop the run a little bit better moving forward. But I do like with what this team has, with experience expected back in 2023. But again, also with these young guys, and Collins just fits this mold. And really, the coaching staff deserves a lot of credit, because when you get high-level recruits like this, coming off a 5-7 season, it is not easy to do. And then there's been a lot of negativity with what's gone on with guys leaving the program, all of the losses, the disappointing results, and they've lost a recruit as well recently. But getting a guy like Collins is certainly a bright spot for the Hurricanes, and definitely curious to see how everything goes moving forward, if they're going to continue to add players, in particular for this early signing day, which is December 21st through the 23rd, and then they'll have another signing period in February. So definitely stay tuned for that and for all the news. Definitely check out InsideTheU.com for more full breakdown and, just live updates on what's going on with the program and the defensive line and everything with recruiting. So the other thing to pay attention to is the transfer portal. So December 5th is the official date that players can announce their intentions to go into the transfer portal, although some guys have announced that they're planning to do that on social media, but December 5th is the date to definitely pay attention to. It's going to be a huge day. We'll definitely be covering it with plenty of updates, not just who's leaving Miami, but some players to look forward to seeing. There might be some surprises, and definitely Miami's going to try to fill out their roster. They know that they need upgrades at essentially every position in addition to the defensive line. I know they want to roll too deep. That's the plan. That's what they'd like to do. So we'll see if they can do that with more players, either with recruiting or with the transfers. But certainly a great day for Miami to be able to pick up a guy like Collins, and definitely look forward to seeing if they can continue to add more to this class as the 2023 offseason has officially begun. So thanks again for watching. Hopefully you have a good rest of the day and take care. But definitely drop in the comments. Let me know what you think about this edition. Thanks for watching.
With